everyone. Welcome to A Cuppa with Jason. I hope you've got your cup of tea or cup of coffee with you. It's good to see you and to be with you. Hopefully, if you are part of our Bethany community, I might actually get a chance to see you in person this Sunday because we're doing a live gathering for the first time in over 6 months. And we're very, very excited, but we're also being cautious. We know that there might be some new guidelines that are coming out even today. And so we are going to just watch those closely. And if we need to pause and delay, we'll do that. But we're going to continue to try to move towards really experiencing worship and community together as much as we are allowed to do. So if you want to book your place, please call the church office and we'll get you hooked up there. So what we've been doing over the last several weeks as kind of our midweek touch point is we've been looking at some of the minor prophets in the Old Testament. And that's a collection of prophets that are in the Old Testament that are kind of grouped together. There's 12 of them, and we've already gone through several of those. And I wonder if you can remember them. The first one that we started with was Hosea, then Joel, Obadiah, or Amos, Obadiah. And we went to Jonah and Micah, and last week was Nahum. So this week, we find ourselves in a book called Habakkuk. And again, if you're familiar with our church community, we went through a whole teaching series on Habakkuk not too long ago, just a few months ago. And so this might be familiar to some of you, but today I just want to give a hopefully quick summary of that book. And so what I've tried to do each and every week is to have some sort of picture, some sort of memory tool to encapsulate what the book is kind of about. And Habakkuk is really about asking God questions, about asking God, why is this happening? I don't understand it. Can you help me understand it? And so for me, what I thought was I could do a big question mark, and that would be what we would talk about. But I actually thought I'd do something a little bit more personal. So in our family, just this weekend, we got a message from one of our kids' schools saying that someone in their bubble had contracted the coronavirus. And so everyone in year 1 and year 2 of our school has to isolate for 14 days. And so we just thought to ourselves, why? Lord, we were just starting to go forward, and now this is starting to happen again. New rhythms were hopefully being established, and now we go back. So my illustration, my memory tool today is a representative of what happened there. This is our little girl, Julep, who is the one staying home, and so that's why she's here this morning with me, helping us understand Habakkuk, and not always understanding why things happen, particularly things we don't want to happen, but how they can actually be a blessing if we trust and show faith in God. So I'm going to send you off. You can go ahead. All right. Say
Hello.
bye. All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So we're in the book of Habakkuk, and essentially I think Habakkuk kind of gives us a couple things to remember. That was the door shutting, so sorry for that sound. But Habakkuk is this prophet who's coming to the Lord and recognizes that because his people have not been obedient, because his people, the children of God, have been rebellious and have worshipped idols, that God, even though he is long-suffering and he's incredibly patient, says, listen, you're not getting it, and so there has to be some sort of discipline. There has to be some sort of punishment. But Habakkuk is wondering, why are you doing this? Why exactly are you doing it in this way? We prayed for you to come in and to change people's lives and to change people's hearts, and it hasn't happened. And so we're struggling. I'm faithful. There's a group of us that are faithful. Why are we being punished as well? And so that's kind of the question back and forth between Habakkuk and God. God, why are you allowing bad things to happen? Why are you allowing things that don't make sense to me to occur? And so what I want to read for you first is kind of God's initial response to Habakkuk. And he says this in chapter 1. God says, look among the nations and see, wonder and be astounded, for I am doing a work in your days that you would not believe if told. And so God is essentially saying, listen, my son, I understand that you don't always understand everything. But I'm going to ask you to put faith in me and to trust that even if I were to tell you exactly what my plan is and to unfold why people are dying, why people are getting sick, why an entire country is on the verge of lockdown yet again, why people are not responding and respecting social distancing guidelines and doing things that they want to do, even if I were to explain to you why I'm allowing those things to occur, you still wouldn't understand. It still wouldn't all make sense to you. And so really the first thing that Habakkuk teaches us and that we need to be reminded of, that when we ask questions of God, which is okay, is that sometimes the answer that we would receive, if God were just and gracious enough to give us those answers, we probably wouldn't understand it. And so it requires faith in the sovereignty of God. It requires faith in the goodness of God. That's what Habakkuk reminds us of. Have faith in the goodness of God. Well, he goes on, and so later in chapter 2, Habakkuk again asks another question, and God answers him again. It's this kind of back and forth situation. And so in Habakkuk 2, it says this. God responds, "For still the vision awaits its appointed time. It hastens to the end, it will not lie. If it seems slow, wait for it. It will surely come, it will not delay. Behold, his soul is puffed up, it is not upright within him, but the righteous shall live by his faith." So here Habakkuk has asked the question to God, okay, listen, I get that I might not understand it, but when is it going to happen? When will things get better? All right, maybe I can be patient for a while in regards to the why, but I'm struggling with the when now. When is this going to stop? When is it going to end? Which are questions that we're still asking now, some 6+ months later, when all of this started with COVID-19. And so God essentially says, listen, it has an appointed time. And if it seems slow, then my advice to you is just continue to wait, continue to trust, continue to place your faith in me. And he mentions that there are some people who get so puffed up and so frustrated and so prideful that they have the answers and they're going to tell everyone when this is going to happen if only certain things would occur. God says that's actually not the path forward. The path forward is that those who are righteous live by faith. Those who are righteous trust in me, even when it is hard. And so it's difficult for me to say that right now. It's difficult for me to think that, God, why are you allowing things to come back? And when will things get normalized again? It's hard to have faith in the midst of that. It's hard to not get discouraged or to feel anxiety or to feel stress in the midst of that. And it may not be the greatest answer in the world. It might seem like an oversimplification, but God says, trust me, I am a person. I am someone who knows you, who loves you, even when you reject me, even when you turn away from me, even when you ignore me, even when you may not even acknowledge that I exist. I see you, know you, and love you. And I care for you. And if you would trust me, I promise the why and the when will eventually be answered. Maybe not in your timing and maybe not in your complete satisfaction, but your heart, if you have faith in me, your heart will turn towards my ways and my understanding of things as well. So this exchange between Habakkuk, this big question and answer session, continues to go forward. And so eventually it gets to chapter 3. And at the end of chapter 3, after Habakkuk has had this question and answer time, he really kind of burst out into this prayer. And at the end of this prayer, notice what he says. He says in verse 17 of chapter 3, though the fig tree should not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, the produce of the olive fail, and the fields yield no food, the flock be cut off from the fold, and there be no herds in the stall, yet I will rejoice in the Lord, and I will take joy in the God of my salvation. So here's Habakkuk saying, okay, I don't know why things are happening. I don't know when they're going to stop. God, you keep telling me to have faith in you and to trust you. And so even though everything around me seems to be falling apart, even though in his context there's no grapes on the vine, there are no olives to gather, the flock and the cattle seem to have dwindled and disappeared, even though everything around me is telling me you're not acting. I'm going to trust, and not only trust, but I'm going to rejoice that you will do as you say you will, that you are the God of my salvation. Listen, this really is the essence of the Christian life. Habakkuk perfectly encapsulates a follower of Jesus's normal doubts and questions, frustrations with not knowing the big picture, but ultimately needing to come to a place where we absolutely give our whole selves to Him and to say, my life is in your hands. My strength only comes from you. My hope is founded in you, and my joy rests in you, the God of my salvation. It's not an easy thing to do. It's one of the reasons why we need one another, to remind each other of that truth, to encourage each other to endure in that truth, to persevere when we forget and when it just seems like, you know what, I don't know if I can make this today, if I can believe this today. That's why we need one another. That's why we need God's word, to be reminded that we're not the only ones that have asked questions and the only ones who have doubted, and we're not the only ones who struggle to find our path towards rejoicing in the Lord. Habakkuk was one of those people, and maybe you are as well. I know I definitely am. I go up and down just like on a roller coaster at times, but God is the stabilizing force. He's the one who's able to bring us joy and bring us peace and ultimately bring us deliverance as well. So I hope you're having a great day, and I hope that encourages you. I hope that regardless of what's going on in your home, the unexpected surprises and blessings of maybe having someone home that you weren't expecting to have home, or maybe not being able to go somewhere that you thought you'd be able to go, maybe not being able to start that job that you thought you were going to be able to start, to see that family member that you thought you were going to be able to see, to spend time with friends. Whatever that is, I pray that you're encouraged, that God knows the why and He knows the when. And so He's asking us to hold on tight and to trust in Him. So again, until next time, have a great and wonderful day. May the Lord bless you.